Hello and welcome back to another episode of One Hale of a Conversation. My name is James Hale. I am the Executive Director of Mad Company and your host for this and I hope all future episodes of this podcast. With me in the studio today is the wonderful actor, writer, creative, voiceover artist, and all-around great human being, Maddi Albregts. Welcome, Maddi.
Hello, James.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks
Excellent.
for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm going to make you redo it.
I might record another one.
It's terrifying.
And then left it behind. We're tired.
Right, and we're back after that exciting interruption. What next season will hold? My name is James Hale. So we're just going to dive right in here, and I'm wondering if you could, just in your own words, like chart your journey from leaving to go to your undergrad to Lambda to here. What, in your words, did that look like?
So starting undergrad, I had gone to a performing arts high school in Las Vegas. So we were kind of in the thick of it with theater from the start. And I knew pretty early on that I wanted to continue theater. I think I had one blip when I wasn't getting cast in high school where I thought, maybe I'll do costumes. Maybe I'm meant to do costumes, which is a wonderful thing. And I love doing it, but not as much as I like acting. And then I kind of got on the acting train again. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Found your thing.
Yes. And so that led me to Montclair State University, which is where I went for my undergrad degree. I got my BFA in musical theater with the BFA with a minor in business and a minor in German.
Two minors.
Yeah, two minors.
I didn't know you could do that.
You can. I don't know if I would recommend it because it was quite daunting on top of the already pretty close to a conservatory-esque musical theater program.
Sure.
But yeah, so I made the leap from the West Coast to the East Coast. They were kind of an up-and-coming musical theater school. A lot of people recently were coming out of there and doing well in the musical theater sphere. They also offered me in-state tuition, and so and a scholarship on top of that. So it was kind of hard to say no to that.
That's a good deal. Okay.
Yeah. So that's also why I felt I wanted to make the most of my degrees and get some in business and German as well. Also, I felt very strongly about having a well-rounded education and experiences. I think that just helps you as an actor. And then the road to Lambda was kind of a wacky one.
Okay.
I think I stumbled upon the Fulbright for Lambda. I was not really interested at all in going to grad school. I never thought I would. I always thought, okay, if I go to grad school, I'll probably work in the field and then go back at a later date, which a lot of our classmates did. Yeah. And then I found this Fulbright information. I have no idea. I can't remember how I stumbled upon it.
Somehow it came into your life.
It came into my life, and I started looking at it. And I remember getting out of bed. It was the middle of not the middle of the night, but I was in bed. I remember getting out of bed and walking into my living room where my roommate was sitting watching TV. And I looked at her and I said, I think I'm gonna apply for this Fulbright for grad school.
Hell yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, do you want to go to grad school? And I thought, maybe.
I don't know.
I might as well try. And so then that started the process of the Fulbright for me, which was quite the process. I think a couple other, obviously our roommate and our flatmate in London ended up getting the Fulbright. Spoiler alert, I didn't get the Fulbright.
Damn. That was one of those things I got to Lambda and then realized that
I could have.
There's a Fulbright scholarship where they pay for it.
Yes.
So, no, I wish I had that information.
Yeah. I mean, I had the information and still didn't get it. So. But it was quite this long process. It was, I think, a good process to go through. I had to do all these interviews and get all these recommendations and send in all these video auditions. Wow. And so I then found out before my audition for Lambda that I didn't get the Fulbright. They
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it was the second round or so where they ended up calling me after an interview and they said, "Thank you so much, but you're out of the running."
No.
Yeah, but no, not for you. And I thought about it, and I thought about the price, and I said, well, in undergrad, I had so many scholarships, I did all that stuff. Is it worth it? It's only a year. If I even get in, that was the other thing.
Right,
I was
you
like,
hadn't
I
gotten in
might as
yet.
well just audition and go forward. It'll be a good experience regardless. And I ended up also tacking on another grad program that was in the UK where I thought, okay, maybe I'll just try for 2 schools.
Was this RADA or
No, it was
Central or
why am I blanking on
one of the lesser
name?
schools?
Still a great school, and I feel so
We'll edit in the name.
we'll edit in the name right here. Okay, I'll have to voice over that, and then I'll
that
I'll just
school.
I'll just yes, that school.
Love that school.
I love that school, I guess. But so I ended up auditioning for them as well as Lambda, and I went into my audition. Rodney was there.
No, Rodney.
Yeah, and I did my audition, and I remember him asking about like finances and stuff. I was also, I think, the second person in the U.S. to audition for Lambda that year.
Oh.
Yeah. He
Wow.
told me, he said, "You are the second person we have seen in the United States. You won't be hearing from us for a couple months,
For a while.
regardless."
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
I was like-
I might have been the last one to audition for
Really?
them. It was the very last date they had, and I was like later in the day.
I was the first date they had, and I was
Early
second.
in- yeah, perfect.
So I was one of the first people, and he did all the standard questions and stuff. And then, then I kind of just forgot about it and thought, okay, well, if that's a thing, that's a
Right,
thing.
whatever.
He said it would be a while before I heard, so sure. If I don't get it, it was no skin off my back because I didn't even really not care to go. That makes it sound so blasé. It wasn't that at all. It just was not. It was something that I thought I could do later down the line
Right,
if I
of course. It
really,
wasn't
really
now or
wanted
never.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I went back. I finished up school, and then one day got a call, and Rodney was on the line, and he said, "Madison, I have just finished unpacking. I have opened up my notebook, and your name was the first one there. So I wanted to call." And I'm sure this man tells this to everybody or something. But I remember I was shaking, and I thought he was calling to give me like a recall audition. I didn't realize.
Right. We want to see you again, or an update or
Exactly.
something, right?
I didn't realize he was offering me a place in the school until he said, "I'll see you in September." And I thought, what? You'll see me in September? And then actually a funny story is I ended up missing the date to send in my first deposit. And I remember freaking out, and I was so upset.
Oh, no.
And I was with my mom, and I thought, oh, I blew it. I can't believe I blew it.
It's
and then
over.
they were like, whatever,
Right.
just
They
send it
didn't
in.
bother to check their email.
Yeah,
Right.
they didn't care.
Oh.
And then I kind of thought, okay, we're going to London. And it was interesting because I remember when I got there, I kind of had this thought of, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? The second I got comfortable with something, I immediately uprooted my life and I came here. I don't know anybody. I don't know the people I'm living with. I have like 3 bags and myself, and a 3-floor walk up. And I just was I kind of had that thought. I've had that thought very often in my life. I tend to uproot myself from everything I'm comfortable with. Like when I went to undergrad and then I studied and worked in Germany for a summer. So I remember having the same thought when I got there and I was working on a farm too, and they picked me up in like a bike with a cart on the back and said, "Hop in the cart." And I remember thinking, what am I doing?
What has happened?
What am I doing? And I kind of had that thought in London. And then after our first week of classes, I remember thinking, why did I come back to school? I don't want to be doing school. Like, what am I doing?
Oh, no.
And then the second week, I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. This is going to be so worth it. And
the beginning of London was so weird.
yeah,
I I was scared to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I remember going in and it was jet lagged, whatever. But it took me like 3 days. I didn't want anyone to like peg me as an American, I think.
Yes.
So I would walk around and
yes.
try to speak as little as possible because
Yes.
I didn't want them to know like foreigner or whatever.
Yes.
It was a very weird experience.
Yeah.
And then, after 4 days, I needed to buy groceries. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
I remember getting a lot of people would ask if I was from Canada a lot. People would ask if I was from, I think I got Australia a couple times. And I just kept thinking, what are you what? No,
Right.
really? But then it kind of happened to me too, where I wasn't used to the accents until probably a month in.
oh yeah.
Where then I could decipher, oh, this is from this region and this is this, as opposed to just, this is an overall accent I'm hearing.
Right,
So I
it's
wonder
just
if
just
people were,
different.
people were just like, this is different English. This must be
Right. Where are the 3 places
Yeah.
they speak different English than
so
us?
and so. Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was definitely a little. Also, fun fact for the people on the podcast, me and James lived together in
We
London.
did live together.
Yeah.
Maddie holding it together. Maddie came to London and then lived with 3 men she didn't know,
Yes.
which was wonderful because at least 2 of those 3 guys were great. And then, but brave choice.
It was a brave choice. And
well
people
done.
asked my parents that a lot. And I never thought it was weird. I
never thought it was weird.
I had one moment when I found out how much younger I was than the 3 of you
Oh.
that I kind of had a moment of, oh.
Living in a house of 30-year-old men.
And I was like 22,
Took you under our wing.
I think.
Something
Sure.
like that. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, so you come to London. You're at Lambda for a graduate program that maybe you sort of fell into.
A little bit.
How did you end up here in New York?
So New York was always kind of the end game for me. I've always been more attached to the live theater, I think. And I think that to me always meant New York.
Sure.
I was never really interested in LA. I think I went to LA once or twice, and I remember going in probably high school, and all my friends were so excited, and they kept saying, oh, this is where I meant to be.
Right.
This is where I meant to be.
City
I love it
lights.
here. And I remember thinking, oh, no. No.
The opposite reaction.
I certainly am not feeling that in any capacity. And I remember going to New York and kind of having the feeling of, oh, this is cool. I like this. This is better. This feels better than that.
Right.
And I think being so close to it in undergrad, it was kind of the trajectory that I thought, if I don't go to London, I'm just going to move to the city and I'm just going to put feet to pavement
Do
and
the
try
thing.
and make it. Yeah. And then also there was the fact that I had a long-term partner here. And so I thought, okay, they're from New Jersey, so we'll stay on the East Coast.
There you go.
Yeah. And so that kind of, there were several things, but for the most part, it was just, yeah, that's the next
It
move.
was always part of the plan.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back there and I'm going to do live theater, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to like it.
Excellent.
And I do.
And here you are, and we like it.
Yes.
Great. So we've got you coming from Vegas through this BFA program to Lambda, eventually here to New York, where you are a part of what I keep hearing is one of the most exciting new theater companies in the world.
I've heard that at least 5 times.
I keep hearing that. Along the way, you made this switch into voiceover acting that you've been doing a lot of recently.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Was that a conscious choice or just something that sort of you fell into?
I think a little bit of all of that.
Okay.
I think it's so funny looking back now because I remember thinking, because once we graduated straight into the pandemic.
Yep.
So coming back, there weren't really live theater opportunities. And I kept thinking, I don't know what I want to do for work. I don't know what will sit with me the best and what I will feel best in. And I kind of wanted flexibility because I have some health issues, and that kind of worried me of having to stick to a very strict schedule and then possibly not being able to do that. And so I kind of thought, okay, what can I do from home? And I have some friends who do voiceover. I have a friend who is she's very big in the voiceover world, and it's so funny thinking like, oh yeah, I'll just do that, because that's not how that works. And she worked very hard to get to where she is, and she's incredible. But I think I kind of had that thought of, oh, this will be an easy way to make money.
Right.
This is just something I can do. Sure.
The side hustle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I very much realize now that's not the case. And I'm still very much, I feel, clawing my way up in that business. But I just kind of sort of started doing freelance stuff. And we were living in my partner's parents' like basement. Yeah.
Dungeon.
Yeah, kind of. And I would go into this closet and put up pillows and a blanket over the door, and I would use a rock band microphone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And we had some music stuff, so we had an old interface, and I just used my laptop, and I just started. And I remember doing voiceover I just put together kind of a shoddy reel. And I had a teacher from undergrad who'd done voiceover. And so she was very kind to give me some tips of, okay, this is how you should approach like a reel, a commercial reel,
right.
something
this
like
is
that. This is, just kind of start doing that. And I had begun these thoughts in London of, oh, maybe this will be a side job. And so coming back, I was like, okay, yeah, let me implement this.
Sure. Some investigation.
Yeah. And so I talked to some people, and I was like, yeah, that's fine.
And I can do this.
I have no training in this, and it'll be great. And it was a lot of stumbling around and a lot of people coming back and saying, hey, can you essentially be better? Can you be more exciting? Can you be more this and that? And then there were some people who were like, yeah, great. We love it. Perfect. Wow. And then I started with a lot of educational content. A lot of business modules, a lot of VR, a lot of meditation is kind of where I started. I still do a lot of that to this day. I'm on a bunch of meditation apps.
So if you're recognizing this voice.
Actually, it's not really this voice. It's kind of like this voice. We're going to take a deep breath and let it go. Yeah, it's kind of that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere between flight attendant and
yeah, it's peaceful. Okay.
Peaceful. Damn it.
It's calming.
It's relaxing.
Yeah. So I did that. And then recently, about a year ago, I started jumping into kind of the character world of like video games and animation and that kind of audio dramas. I do a lot of audio dramas. And I still very much feel very new in that. I've had a couple bigger things that I felt really good about at the time, but now I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of want to go bigger. I kind of want to do more, but I think that's just the nature of the business. So
right. You always want more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it will come. It just has been, but it definitely was not something that was so easy.
Sure.
It wasn't always easy money. And it's kind of it's kind of difficult in the way of it's the same with acting where you're always auditioning, you're always applying for jobs. You never know if you're going to have the security.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that, sort of balancing these two different facets of more or less the same work, do you feel like you found balance in attempting to do voiceover auditions and theatrical auditions? Are you more focused on one than the other? Are you hoping to be more focused on one than the other and are not?
Yeah, I think I go through stages, almost periods of, okay, I'm really going to put it all into voiceover. And when I started doing kind of character stuff, I was really focused in on that, almost to the point I was still sending in some live theater auditions and such, but I kind of got cast in a show and it was kind of almost jarring of, I do live theater. Yes. Okay. I do musicals. Yes. This is another thing I do. I've been so entrenched in the voiceover world and I do it all from home. So it was really almost isolating that I then all of a sudden was back into the theater game.
Right. Out in the world.
Yeah. And I think now I've found more of a balance. It can be challenging sometimes because I kind of want to do all of it all day, every day. of, oh, let me
Right.
do voiceover auditions, and then after that I'll do these auditions, and then after that I'll stream, or then after that I'll do this and this and this, and I want to do it all every single day, and then I kind of burn myself out. So I'm trying to pick days where I think, okay, I'm going to do voiceover auditions Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Right.
or I'm going to do this job on Thursday.
Right.
Or,
Workload management.
yes. So, or this week I'm going to focus on live theater auditions, or I'm going to focus on these callbacks. And so it kind of adjusts, but I
Sure.
think now I have a better grasp. When I am performing in shows, it's a little harder to even it out, but I'm still to the point where the shows I'm doing are shorter runs, so I haven't had to plan for like a long-term
Sure.
schedule.
Right. There hasn't been a drastic shift in your
Yeah.
long-term schedule.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, constant evolution sounds like just sort of the smart way to go.
The name of the game.
Right, that's what we do. So we just touched on this briefly, but last season you made your off-Broadway premiere in Pinkalicious,
Yeah.
which I did not get to go see. I was very upset about that. Heard great things about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun, entertaining
Yeah.
children's show. I'm curious. So this was, I believe, your first like professional theatrical experience in New York City.
Yes, I had done a outdoor production of 12th Night
Right.
the year before with a wonderful company, but this was the first musical I'd done professionally. This was my first, obviously, my off-Broadway debut.
Yeah.
That kind of my first tour, because we
Right,
took it
'cause you
took
did
it
the
on
touring,
tour.
yeah.
Yeah, so that it felt like the first girthy project.
Sure, the first big thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious, like moving from your undergraduate experience, you know, everyone always does summer shows. We were at Lambda for a long time. Were there any big differences between all of these sort of, for lack of a better word, amateur productions and scholastic productions to then move into like, this is a fully fledged professional off-Broadway touring production? What were the differences there? What were the difficulties of making that shift, if any?
Yeah, it's interesting because the show, it's a family show, so it doesn't have the craziest budget. I think I've done some college shows that had bigger budgets than this show,
Sure.
which is fine. And it
Yeah.
needed to be small because we had to take it on the road. And it was only a 5-person cast. And I do have to say I loved the cast I was with. I'm still friends with them to this day. I enjoy them all. They're all immensely talented. They're all performing and doing amazing things. So there was a shift definitely when we had our first rehearsal, and it was a music rehearsal, and everyone came in and just blew the roof off. Everyone was so good. And I remember going home that night and studying the music and the harmonies for 4 hours.
Wow.
Because I felt behind. And I didn't want to feel behind going into these rehearsals. And I remember coming back and everyone being like, what are you talking about? It was our first rehearsal. It's fine. Like, it's okay. We'll get there. We have 5 weeks. Like, it's not a big deal. It's a 50-minute show. It's a packed 50-minute
Sure,
show. I
yeah.
will say it's pretty much going
Not
nonstop.
a lot of downtime for those kids.
Exactly. And I have to say it is a family show, but I loved the music. It had a nice little message. It wasn't grating.
No, okay.
I will preface that. But yeah, so I think that was definitely a difference, but also just reminding myself that, okay, this is work and this is a lot of work. And I think sometimes people can feel like, oh, it's a really glamorous life you're living of, wow, you're off Broadway. And I'm like, yeah, I have you have the title of it, but
Right, on paper it looks great.
on paper, but like, yeah, sometimes the things weren't always the easiest. The touring houses that we went to were so beautiful. And the one we were in New York, I mean, New York theaters are wonderful, but they tend to be older and they
Yep.
tend to not have a ton of space,
Yep.
especially off Broadway. So I think we kind of all went from this cramped area to then being on these huge stages
the regional
and
stages,
these regional stages. And I mean, they're catering to us and like catering to us and doing all this stuff. And you're like, oh, wow.
Wow. When New York talent comes out of
Wow,
town.
I am an actor.
Thespian.
Yes, exactly. Silly things like that. So there was the difference in, I kept thinking, and I went to school with very talented people as well. It's not to say that they didn't rise up to that caliber, but it just kind of was this feeling of, I would go through feelings of, oh, this is really hard and this isn't what I expected, to then also being on the train the morning of our opening day and being like, I'm opening a show off Broadway. And yeah, it's a family show, but that doesn't make it it doesn't matter. Like, I will be off Broadway, and this is what I thought about, and I'm doing what I wanted to do. And I think that was really important to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I know. Not I know. But it was a beautiful experience.
Wow. Okay. So I'm curious, and we're wandering off of my script a little bit here. So you went from this BFA program at Montclair to a heavy classical conservatory master's degree at Lambda. You come back to New York City, and eventually your first, like, we'll say, bigger professional job is very much musical theater.
Back to the roots.
Quintessential, right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, thinking about Lambda, like, doing a year of this conservatory training, this classical training, do you feel like that still informs some of the work that you do on, like, a straight musical theater project or a modern project or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I really thought about, and it was something I talked to another one of my cast members about, where we would discuss, it's a children's show, and some of the lines are silly, and some of the songs are hokey, and all these things. But it was so important to me and to us that we gave the same amount of attention to these characters that I would a classical character or Macbeth or any of those other characters I played in grad school, because I think it was not only important to me as an actor, but it was important because the kids are still an audience. They are still and yeah, maybe they're not thinking about that, but kids can smell BS. They can see BS, and like, yeah, maybe they just want to come for the pink and the showy numbers and things like that, but you still want to perform well for them. And so many parents came up to us and said, this is my child's first show. This is the first theater they're ever seeing, and so of course you want to do well for that. Right. And it's just, I think as an actor, I think it is almost better because you are really stretching yourself. And I think there's like a part of like, I'm not going to take this too seriously, but also I do want to give it the respect it deserves and also take care of my body. And it was a lot of grueling days and a lot of moving sets and moving things and driving in cars for long distances.
Because you were working as your own sort of...
Yeah, basically we would do it all.
Roadies, your own crew.
And so, I think learning that in school and just being able to care for myself and we used Besfort's vocal warm-ups.
Did you?
Yeah, because they were so succinctly recorded.
Right.
That we would just they'd be like, can we play Besfort? I'd be like, yeah, sure. I know.
Besfort.
Yeah, I know. It was very sweet.
Love that, man. Besfort was one of our one of our few singing teachers at Lambda.
Wonderful.
Lovely man.
Yeah. I think that definitely, it was interesting going back to a musical show because I was so entrenched in the classics, and then I did this, and I had to remind myself, oh yeah, you are a musical theater actor. Yeah,
I find myself kind of having that same reaction all the time. Like, I think of myself as a Shakespearean actor or a stage actor, but I remember sometimes that, my background is in music.
Yeah.
And I very much am like a singer and actor.
Yes.
And it is a different like mindset you have to be in, especially regarding auditions. I think the difference between like a straight play audition and a musical theater audition are crazy to me, and it's not a casual thing for me to like switch back and forth between those brains.
Yeah, I had to kind of get to the point where, and you are a very talented singer.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. But I had to get to the point when people would ask, oh, do you sing, or oh, do you do this? And instead of kind of going, oh, well, yeah, no, I do. I very truthfully and honestly say, yes, I'm a good singer. I sing and I am good at it. And I like to do it and I enjoy it. But it's and people are like, yeah, that's great that you feel comfortable saying that. And it's like, yeah, I should.
Right.
That's important.
Right.
And
False modesty has no place here.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's important to me to remember that is something I love and that is something I do. And I think that totally has space in classical theater.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I sometimes have to remind myself, oh yeah, you can do.
I have these other skills.
Yeah, you can do these other things.
I love that. Excellent. So, Mad Company. Let's dive in.
Let us.
What, in your words, what is your position with Mad Company? And what does that mean?
My position in Mad Company, so I'm on the board of directors.
Excellent.
I am a co-vice president.
Co-vice president.
Co-vice president with one Helena Miller, an excellent human being. I also am the marketing director. So I had all of our marketing, did all the design, all of it, baby. And then, I do some other little things. As of last night, I am our head of accessibility.
Oh, yes. Our board meeting literally last night.
Yeah. So, I think I wear a lot of hats. I'm what's that thing? A founding member. Yeah.
Founding member. Yes, that's what we
Had
call
to
ourselves.
yes. As if we didn't, create this. Yes, that is what I do.
That's what you do.
The
Excellent.
Mad Company sphere.
So I'm curious, and again, I want to just sort of hear in your words, like, I don't like how I've written this question, so let me rephrase it on the fly. Why did you get involved with Mad Company? What did you think it was going to be? Like, what? So I wrote down, what was your motivation to join the company and the board? Like, what was it to you when we started it, and what is it now, and how has it sort of changed?
I think I remember us discussing it in school, kind of this far off idea of,
Right.
oh, we're going to do our own thing and this is what we're going to be called, and we're going to make our own theater. And I also really remember this thing that Chris Burt told me, and I had a particularly bad day health-wise with my brain stuff, and I was very upset, and I very much felt as I was questioning where I fit in a professional theatrical space,
Sure.
and if that would be maintainable with my health. And I remember Chris Burt, I have no idea if he remembers telling me this, but I remember him looking at me and saying, you will be an actor. You will be a professional actor. I don't care if we have to create our own company, our own productions, our own performances, but you will be a professional actor because that is what you're meant to do.
Wow.
And I remember, it is still it sits so heavy in a beautiful way in me, and it resonates with me still to this day. And so I think when we started talking about creating this company, I thought, yes, this is it. This is us doing the work, and this is us creating stuff for ourselves. And I really love our class.
Mm-hmm.
I felt closer to you all in a year than I felt with many people I met for many years.
Yeah.
I think that's also kind of the nature of the program. We're with each other upwards of 12 hours a day, every day, doing really intense emotional work together. And I think when we came and we started having talks, and it's so funny to see where we started of, we just want to put on a show. We just want to, we're just going to throw on a little ditty, and we're going to put up a little play, and it's going to be fun, and we'll get to perform. And then, I think this is why I love you all so much too, is we are very much balls to the walls kind of people.
Yeah, we tend to take an idea and run with it.
Yes, and we did. And we ran, and we are still running, and our feet are bleeding.
We're making it though.
We are. So I think once everyone started getting more serious too, I think I hopped on that right away. I wasn't super in the beginning. I think it was you and Lauren were really spearheading, and Mick were really heading it. And then I would pop into calls and stuff, and I would miss some things, and which was fine. I just kind of was busy at the time.
I mean, for months, well, you had your tour, but also for months we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah, we were just kind of, we can do a show in October and do it with no money, and it'll be fine.
It'll be great.
And then when we started getting more serious, I have a particular set of skills.
Thank you, Liam. Yes.
Yeah. And so I just hopped on that creation, and then I think just started rolling with it more and more and more, as a snowball does down the mountain.
As it happens, yeah.
As it happens, yeah. So.
Yeah, I know, like, it does feel like it just sort of happened. It just grew into this thing.
Yeah.
But like, what Chris told you is that's a beautiful thing to have someone, like, just give to you. What a gift from that man.
And it really felt like it. And so I always felt very connected to Chris because of that. Yeah. I wonder if he knows it. He's going to listen and be like, what? I don't think I said that to you.
Was that me?
I'm pretty sure. I feel like I remember.
We'll say it's him.
Yeah, we'll say it's him. But no, that was huge for me. And I mean, and then everyone showed it. That's the thing, is he said it, and then everyone backed it by constantly supporting me, by constantly being there for me, by never making me feel like I was less or that I couldn't. Or I remember when we were doing a performance of Macbeth, and I was having a particularly hard day, and I was really worried about forgetting my lines. And everyone, all of those women there with me said, no, we're going to make it happen. We will have a script on stage. If you mess up a line, just look to me. I will bring you the script. No one in the audience is going to care. You will act your face off. And if you can't, go off. Someone will take the role. We will be there to lift you up and be there for you. And I had groups of people support me in undergrad, and I had people here and there, and like, not to discount the people in my life who helped me get to where I was, but it always felt like a collective, and I never felt like people thought less of me or were annoyed that I was missing things or thought, oh, well, she doesn't have to do this and that's annoying, or I'm annoyed that she's sick all the time, or things like that. So I really felt like Chris said it, and then everyone backed it up.
Right.
And
it was manifested.
Yeah. And that's why I felt, okay, I can come into this and I will have the support, and I will have a voice, and I will have people listen and say, yeah, no, you're right. Cool. We're not going to do that. Or yeah, we'll make it easy for you.
Yeah.
Or easy in the way, like easier.
Easier. Right. Accommodations.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. And I think that is part of the reason I was so attracted to this journey that we've started, is just the even tiniest modicum of control over what we're doing.
Yeah.
It comes with an incredible amount of work, and a lot of headaches that you don't have as just an actor walking in and into and out of auditions and rehearsal rooms. But for my mind, and I don't know how you feel about this, like, I am absolutely willing to have those headaches and do all that work to be able to say we have a little bit of control over our creative future. Not necessarily the success or failure of that future, but at least like the work we will be doing, we can decide even just a fraction of.
Yeah. And I think be proud of that work as well. And that's the thing, is going in with all of you, I knew I wouldn't be doing it alone. I think oftentimes I tend to be a bit, I hesitate to say controlling because like a negative connotation with that word, but I tend to be protective of the work I do, and I want to make sure it's done precious. Yeah. I want to make sure it's done at a high quality. I want to make sure the work I'm doing and presenting is good, and so I tend to do a lot of it, and I tend to want to hold it close to me. But I feel with you all, I know you will also do the work, and I feel I can hand it to you and know that it will be safe in your hands because you care just as much about this company as I do. And it's not only me trying to pick teeth of, come on, like, let's
do this
let's
thing.
do
right.
this. It's all of us being like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And sometimes I think we get a little lost in it, and
Sure,
it
yeah.
becomes
It doesn't all go well.
I know, but knowing that other people are just as excited and passionate about it as I am, I think is huge. And yeah, and to have those opportunities and to know, that's the other thing when we were going to Romeo and Juliet, is just knowing that people are going to be good. Like, people are like, I really think you're all supremely talented, and I trust you, and I trusted the creative team to put on a good show. So I knew,
Absolutely.
yeah, I knew we would be bringing good work, and so it was important to me that we were always showing well.
Yeah.
To back up our good work, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always come back to, like, I think that our two really fundamental strengths as a company are, one, just that there are more than a handful of us who are super motivated. I mean, there's a dozen of us here in New York who all really want this to happen, which is a lot of hands, which is excellent, because if it was 2 people, 3 people, it would never get done. And our other strength is the fact that we all know each other so well and went to such good training, not even individually, but as a group. I mean, we all speak more or less the same language, theatrically, creatively, and that, I think, is invaluable in as far as putting up work or having things be shown. So are there avenues or directions, areas that Mad Company is not currently sort of moving into creatively that you would like to see us head towards in the future?
I think about a lot of things. I really like the idea of us being open to all kinds of art and artists, and just being a champion for so many different kinds of art, and that really excites me. I think my voiceover self is interested in maybe, obviously, I'm very excited about us producing this podcast.
Yes.
But also kind
One Hale of a conversation.
One Hale of a conversation. Yeah, so I think that is exciting. I would love to maybe dip into, like, audio drama territory.
Oh.
Me and Kira were talking about how sometimes we look for audiobooks or audio versions of Shakespeare plays, and unless you pay for the fancy audio version, you kind of get not the greatest read for free. And so we were thinking about toying with the idea of creating quality recordings of Shakespeare plays that are free for the public to be able to listen to, because I think that's important to have. And I think everyone should be able to listen to Shakespeare in a great way. Not saying, oh, we're
in the way that only we can do.
We're so good. No, not that at all. But just having access to quality,
of course, things
without having to pay. So I think that kind of is interesting to me, that discussion. I don't know. I think, I like the idea of merging different kinds of art. I've already kind of tried to do that a little bit with working with local artists and small businesses and things in the marketing sphere. Our poster was designed and hand-drawn by an incredible artist named Mads Schubert, and they, I think, did a great job. And I remember people, at first, it was a little, I don't know, I think people were like, oh, this is an interesting poster for Romeo and Juliet.
It's strong.
Yes, they were like, this is very strong. And I really stood behind, no, it's good, it's interesting, it's art. I think people are going to be drawn to it. And I think in the end people were.
Yeah.
I hope. I got a lot of good feedback on it. But I think that collaboration is important to me, of, okay, let's do a show and let's have a gallery in conjunction with it. And let's do this so we kind of have this multimedia.
Yeah, blurring the lines between the media.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool to be able to support all these different spheres. And I know that we're just now starting to get into, I mean, I called us a fledgling company the other night.
Fledgling, I like that word.
Yeah, so we still have so many places to go, but I think those are always kind of at the tip of my brain.
I like that.
And
thinking of the brain as a spear.
Yes, exactly. You're brain isn't
You're not a
cone shaped.
Cone brain.
Cone brain. Yeah. So I think maybe that I think there's so much we're getting into education stuff, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what we have. I think we are moving in that direction, and I'm always happy to hear and experience new things that people want to do, and that feels exciting as well. Of I didn't even think we could do that. Let's do that.
Yeah,
and
staying open for other possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Thinking about, so obviously we're first and foremost like a theater company. Are there any productions that you're hoping to see included in either next season or a future season?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, you do. Look at that face.
I mean, I'm always drawn to Shakespeare, which is
good.
Which is nice because we do a lot of it. I don't really have a play that I specifically want to do. I have characters that I would love to come back to, and
like what?
I would love to play Henry VI again. Loved that role. Would love to properly play that role again. So that is interesting to me. There's not really one, because I feel with all Shakespeare, I'm happy to do any and every Shakespeare, because then I just get to learn more about it. I don't think I'd read Romeo and Juliet since I was in high school until we read it again. And then we didn't even finish. This is going to make me look bad. We didn't finish reading it in the initial read through, and I hadn't fully read through it by the time we were in a couple rehearsals.
Hot take.
So when Paris, spoiler alert,
dies,
we were in rehearsal and it said Paris dies, and I went, what?
It was such good acting. We
completely forgot that happened. And people were like, oh, well, yeah, he doesn't die in the movie. And I was like, well, I've never seen the movie. I don't know.
He's not really in the movie.
Exactly. So, like, any chance I get to experience Shakespeare, old or new, is very exciting to me. So it could be anything, and I will get a new experience. It's the same with contemporary stuff. Sometimes I feel like a bad actor. Let's get into it,
All
James.
Right. Yes, let's dive into that.
No, because I don't really consume media in that way. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of TV. I occasionally see shows on Broadway or around. I sometimes tend to be a little bit of a hermit in my house.
Oh, really?
A little bit. I'm getting better this year. It was a goal of mine to get out more and see friends more and see shows. But yeah, I tend to kind of get into my own little bubble.
Yeah.
And so mainly what I do for entertainment is read books, not even plays. And so sometimes I feel everyone knows what's on Broadway or like what the latest show is and who the latest actors are, and I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not really in that world, which I think has pros and cons to me as an actor. I think pros in the way that I truly feel like the work I'm doing is my work. Not that I think we can take from other people and learn and grow and become an amalgamation of ourselves and the people we look up to. But I like to watch people, like real life people. Actors are real life people, but like they're playing a role.
Yeah, right.
But I like to watch it in the way that I'm like, ooh, this is really interesting. I think it's because every time I watch movie or TV, I am working. I start thinking, ooh, what are they doing? How would I do that? Ooh, what? Let me look at what they're feeling right now, and I would love to see their reaction to this, and how would I take on that reaction, and how would I say that line?
I want to be in the rehearsal room with
them
to
like,
see the
oh,
evolution.
yeah, that would be so great. And so sometimes I'm like, I just need to shut my brain off, and really the only thing I can do for that is read a book or watch sub-animes.
Hey, okay.
Because even if I watch dubbed animes or dubbed cartoons, I'm thinking the
listening to the
voiceover. Yes.
Yeah.
And so with like subs, it's all in Japanese. Or, reading, where
right.
I
don't know. I don't feel like that's a bad thing for an actor. There is a fundamental difference between the work an actor does on stage, on camera, behind the microphone, and the work an actor does to create those opportunities for themselves, i.e. the industry.
Yeah.
It does not... Jackson Pollock would not be a better painter if he knew the names of all the studio or gallery owners in New York. That's not his job.
Yeah.
It would help a burgeoning Jackson Pollock to know those people to get his work shown.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with him being an actor or an artist himself. I feel that way about actors too. There are people who know everything that's going on in the industry in New York and LA. Lots of people who know about New York, LA, and Chicago. Like, you can be really knowledgeable about the industry, and in fact you should be on a certain level.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you, in and of itself, a better actor.
Yeah.
It might make you a more hireable actor, which is very much a worthy goal.
Yes.
But it's not going to improve your work.
Very much, you have to market yourself. You have to be on social media. You have to be doing this. You have to... Well, TikTok's the huge thing right now, so like start making videos or start doing this, which like people do, and they do. It's incredible, and people get discovered because of that, and people become more popular because of that. And I think it's helped launch a lot of people's careers. I struggle with that as a person who doesn't really like that stuff personally for myself, and I think I also struggle with. It's going to sound so pretentious. I struggle with inauthenticity.
Oh, yes.
But I just don't, I would never, ever want to be friends or build a community with people just for the sake of bettering my chances as an actor or propelling myself forward. I never want to just build relationships because I'm thinking about my future and
to exploit them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really struggle with that. Even with my friends now who are successful, who I've been friends with for a while, I struggle asking them for things or questions because I never, ever want them to feel as if I'm only using them, which is silly. And a lot of them are like, Maddie, come on. No, you're our friend. We've been friends for so long. So that's always interesting to me. But I do also have to remind myself that you can still build communities and you can still be a part of this community. It just doesn't have to feel fake to you. You can...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think part of me is... I know that it might take me longer to get to where I want to be. And maybe I won't see the success I want to see until I'm older because I didn't build the connections as quickly as some people, but I think that will maintain my sense of self and maintain my own brain capacity with that.
And you have to do what you have to do. Lots of people have been very successful by putting things on social media or self-creating that type of work, being active. There's also many, many more people who have done that exact same thing and not been successful.
That's true.
Someone told me, I'm forgetting who this is, but I think it was one of the speakers who came and talked to us as we were graduating, like, no one actually knows how to succeed in this industry.
Yeah.
Literally no one knows that. It's a combination of luck and some techniques to improve your chances and knowing the right people, but what works for some doesn't work for others. So there is no one way that you must do these things. I would argue there are some common things that you should do. You should have a resume. You should, go to auditions. But maybe not. Maybe there's someone out there who never went to an audition and never printed a resume and started a career some other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on the
You
have to be on social media. You have to be super knowledgeable about all these people.
Yeah.
I'm also, I would not say, the most successful actor in the world. So maybe because I'm not doing those things, I'm not successful. I don't know. But it has yet to be proven otherwise.
Yeah, that's not a dig to people who do that.
No, not at all.
It's almost something I wish I could do, but every time I try and do it, my gut is like, no, don't.
Yeah, right. And I think...
Imposter?
This is not you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that has to be, You have to go with what feels good.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just won't do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I never want to learn or grow to resent this thing that I love. And although it's work and is hard, I never want to get to the point of there's not even a sliver of fun, or I'm just doing this because I think I have to, as opposed to I'm doing this because I think it's right. And
right. Or because I want to, or because it gives me some sort of fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So we have a little bit more time here.
Oh.
I've got some like kind of one-off extra time questions.
Okay.
That if you just want to either make up an answer to or really think about, either way is fine.
Sure.
First up, are there any, you mentioned Henry VI. Do you have any dream roles that you hope to play at some point in your life?
Henry VI, I think, is my top. I love him. I love that character. I did from the second I started playing him. It was so funny because
so in Margaret was when you
in Margaret
discovered
was
him.
when
Okay.
I discovered him, yes. And I remember people would just shit. Are we allowed to cuss?
I've been swearing a lot.
Okay.
So.
It just dawned on me. A lot of people would give him shit for being like a cuckold and being like
He's
a
not the most
crybaby.
traditionally masculine character.
That's why I like him. No, but I just like felt so deeply protective and so deeply attached to this, which is funny because he's also a deeply religious character, and I have no standing I have no religious affiliation. But it was such an interesting thing to explore, and I really, really loved doing that, and I would love to do it again because that was the first role I played at Lambda.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to play him again and play him in like all the parts and play him throughout his entire.
Wow, the full evolution.
Yeah, the full evolution of him. So that's definitely one of them. I'm always really weirdly drawn to kind of the emotional male characters in Shakespeare. So Henry, Romeo was a big one. I think Hamlet, all of those. I think Macbeth too falls into that category.
Absolutely.
These big heavy hitter guys that I love to play and who I think have like this emotional vulnerability to their detriment or to their benefit. So I think those are I'm always drawn to those kind of, I guess, are those all tragic? They are all
tragic male,
soft male boys.
soft boys.
Yeah, no, I love, and I love Lambda for giving me that confidence to play any and every role in Shakespeare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously within reason. I'm not going to play like old
Or
characters
not.
or Othello.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, age is something I can grow into. It's really only
It's one notable
really
exception.
only
for
one
some
notable
reason.
exception. But yeah, that ability to look at any character and go, I could play that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play that. I want to play that.
I could bring truth to that.
Yeah. Why not? Why can't I play this role?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I talked to so many of our cohort who were just so changed by Margaret of Anjou. And I think, I don't know, I think in my head it's a combination of, it's an amazing play that Rodney sort of pieced together from Shakespeare's texts. I also think maybe it was like such a formative time for all of us. It was like 3 months into us at Lambda. We were finally getting our feet under us. It was the first real like meaty work we got to sink our teeth into with some of these new skills. But everyone I've talked to, on like the 4 people I've talked to on this podcast, and even outside our other cohort, like are so changed by it. They all want to go back and do either Margaret again or the character they play again. I know I would love to play Buckingham again. From Richard III.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it was truly the first time where I thought, and I had a lot of pearls of wisdom within it too, where I remember doing a voice rehearsal with it, and I was speaking through the line, and I kind of messed up, and I went, oh, okay, sorry, wait, I'm going to take it back. And I remember it was Robert.
Robert Price.
Saying, why are you apologizing? Why are you drawing attention to the mistake? Just go back and pick it up and start again. Like, stay in the work. He was like, do you think Meryl Streep comes in and makes a mistake and wants to make it a joke and all about her? No, she stays true to the... And I remember being so terrified, wide-eyed, going, okay, yeah,
Right.
that's fine.
Good man, though.
And that really shaped me. Also, just the way of, why wouldn't you just go for it
Right.
every time in rehearsal? And, like, obviously take care of yourself and things like that, but why wouldn't you
do it the best that you possibly can?
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm going to save this up for a performance, so I'm going to save it up for this. And so I would, and it kind of was a breakthrough for me. And I remember Rodney, our director, pulling me aside and saying, yes, you've got it now. You've done it. You found it. And I remember thinking, oh, yes, I've done it. I found it. And it was also one of the first instances of true, I think, almost praise for my acting. I remember being in a rehearsal, and I remember doing my scene and finishing it up, and everyone kind of was like, oh, she's going for it. And I remember Rodney saying, there, that's a real actor. That's real acting. And I remember thinking, yes, I can do that. I'm a real actor. That is real acting. And I think it was so important for me to hear, not to blow smoke up my ass or whatever, but just as like a young person being like, yes, I can do hard things. I can play complex characters and play them well. And so that was huge, like 3 months into this program. And then I think it shaped the way I played characters till the end.
Wow.
To this day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As well it should.
Next short question.
yeah.
As I go into a long tirade.
No, that was beautiful. Like Rodney's advice to you, like Rodney and Chris's advice are now sort of bouncing back and forth in my head. Or not advice, but they're
words.
They're words to you. Those are two.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful moments to have.
Yeah.
So we've touched on, you're an actor, you write, you're a voiceover artist. On your resume, it says one of your special skills is sewing, which I love. What other creative outlets do you have, if any, that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, I love to sing. I love music.
Right.
I did a lot of watercolor painting for a while.
Oh.
And I love watercolor painting.
I didn't know that.
Fun fact.
Did I know that?
I don't know. I watercolored a portrait of Max for a show, remember? Yeah.
Yes. I don't know that I knew it was watercolor, but I do remember you painting.
You painting something, yeah. So I did watercolors. And I did that for a couple years, and then I kind of did that thing where I tried to monetize it, and then I fell off. And I think only recently have I been wanting the desire to go back and just do it for me. So I love that. I love reading, which I guess isn't really creative, but it feels creative to me because in my mind I'm creating movies in my mind constantly. So in my head I'm like, okay, thanks. I think you're gonna say this is also not a creative thing, but I will argue that it is. Me and my partner recently started rock climbing, and it very much I am feeling like it is a creative sport because it is constantly solving puzzles. It's becoming creative on the route you want to take. And I was watching, I don't look graceful doing it, but I was watching someone go across a wall. They were just doing laps around this bouldering wall. And it was like watching a dance.
Wow.
The fluidity, the movement. And I thought, wow, this actually kind of is a beautiful dance you're having with yourself and the way that you're moving and the way that you, and that's the thing is I will go for a problem on a wall and just like push my way through it. And then I get to the top and it's great. And then the next time I'll come back and I'll do it again and it'll be like a little nicer. And then the next time I'll try something different where I put my leg behind and I kind of go up a different way. And then it kind of feels like this dance of, okay, how can I get up easier and with more ease and not be so tense? So
I would, in my head, rock climbing is getting up a wall and then with a fall coming back down.
Yeah, no. It's puzzles. And
puzzles.
I love puzzles.
We do, yeah. We love puzzles. So I guess I would, and this is a much larger discussion than we're not going to have right now, but I guess I would say like it is certainly creative in the way that I think any sport
Is
has
creative,
creative
yeah.
elements. I wouldn't call it like a creative pursuit necessarily so much as like an athletic
I
pursuit.
agree. I agree
But
with you there.
but I like that answer.
Yeah, I know.
But-
I was trying to, I was
cool.
trying to think of things.
All
I do
right.
so many creative things that I was like, what is beyond?
I have so many things that
I
I
have
do.
so many things I do. Oh, it's my voice and
My body,
my
my
body, my art, my mind. Yeah.
So last question, and I've
Alrighty.
asked this to everybody. If you weren't an actor / creative, what would you be?
Oh, I think about this all the time. I think about myself in different lives, and
Okay.
I see videos of things, and I'm like, oh, I would do that. I would absolutely be doing that in another life. I really loved baking when I was growing up. I did a lot
Oh.
of baking. I did a lot of cake decorating. It was like a really integral part of like 3 formative years for me. So I think in one timeline, I am a baker. I recently was watching a lot of videos about archaeology, and part of me was like, that's really cool. That
All
is
right.
really interesting, and I think would be a really interesting thing to do. I also really love nature. I really love animals. Maybe something in conservation. That would be important to me. Or something, it's funny, I was in Montana this summer with my family. My dad had a work thing, and so we all were like, let's just all go on vacation.
Why not
Because we all
Montana?
live across, my parents are in Vegas still, I'm in New Jersey, my
Right.
brother is in Arizona. So we all live apart from each other, and so every once in a while we try and not only Christmas, like Christmas is sometimes the only time I see my family, but we all went to Montana, and I think we were like zip lining or something. And I just had the thought of, why am I not doing anything in nature? Why am I doing this career? And why do I live?
I'm a hermit inside.
Yeah, I know. And when we got back, we implemented what we have dubbed Adventure Fridays. And Adventure Fridays can happen on any day of the week, but
Naturally.
they're always called Adventure Fridays. And
Okay.
it's something of, oh, okay, we're going to go on a hike, or we're going to go to a park, or we're going to go
This
to a
is back
botanical
in
gardens.
Jersey.
This is back in Jersey. Because I came back from Montana thinking, I need to be in nature. What am I doing?
And I'm in New Jersey.
And I'm in New Jersey,
nature.
which has a lot of beautiful
It does. It
areas
does.
that I think
I joke about
people-
Jersey, but it's
You do,
nice.
but
Sorry,
yeah.
Jersey people.
Or like, okay, we're just going to go on a walk today if we can't get anywhere, just realizing the importance of nature. So I think maybe I would do something,
Okay.
in nature. I also I go through periods of, oh, that's really cool. I would love to work in like deep sea sciences and
Oh.
like all sorts of just random.
But it's like it sound. But
I also
other
love
than,
math.
other than the baking thing, it sounds like science or something. In
Yeah, I was
and
really
discovery.
I loved math growing up, or maybe something with languages. I loved learning German. Like I would love to. I don't know. It's
Very
like
interesting.
sometimes people are always like, oh, well, if you're an actor acting, you have to know that you couldn't do anything else. And I'm like, I feel like I could do other things,
Yeah.
but I choose.
Kind of fuck you.
I think the fact that I continue to choose to do acting is the important part.
Yeah,
is the
that,
part of
that to me is way
yeah.
more important than I'm incapable
Yes,
of doing
I'm doing
anything.
anything else. Yeah, and I think they mean it in like you have to be so
You have to
fully
love it,
invested
right.
because it's really hard and it's really discouraging a lot of the time.
Yeah,
But yeah, so often I'm like, oh,
I don't know about that.
I think I could do other things.
I am
I
more
mean,
than
I would
one
have to go
thing.
to school and like, of course. But I also am getting to the point in my life where I'm like, oh, I still have like, hopefully, a lot of my life left. Like you can just do. I felt that way
Yeah.
with several of our classmates who were older in Lambda who now.
This is their second career.
This is their
yeah,
second
or third
career or third career, and they are really successful in it. I often think about Lorna and how
absolutely
she's
killing it on the West
absolutely killing it on the West End. Was a lawyer beforehand. Yeah. So, I think the possibilities are endless.
They
but
are endless.
I will continue with acting because I get to be all those things as an actor.
End. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You can do all of it.
I get to
You
do
can
all of
make the
it, and that's what I
discoveries.
come back to.
That's what you come back to. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Maddi Albregts, for joining us here today on One Hale of a Conversation.
Thank you, James Hale.
In case no one's picked
In
up on
case
that
no
yet.
one picked up on that.
And I'd like to thank everyone for listening. This has been me, James Hale, on One Hale of a Conversation with Maddi Albregts. Please join us again and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.